Gives me a great sense of power. I ring a little bell and everybody gets quiet. Good morning.
Good morning.
That was pretty good. Oh, I'd like to welcome you all this morning to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Springfield. My name is Becca Reynolds. I'm one of the plethora of Beccas that goes to this church. I am a kind of tall, kind of heavy redhead. Today I'm wearing a green dress with a lot of little white circles on it. My pronouns are she and her. Whether you are with us on site or on Zoom, we want to welcome you. And whether this is your first time here or your 200th or 10,000th time here, we would like you to stay with us after the service for coffee, tea, conversation. Just meet us in the kitchen. If you have any questions about Unitarian Universalism or our church, ask basically anybody wearing a name badge, and we'll be able to answer your questions and steer you to the dozens of activities and groups and special things we do within this church. We hope you can stay with us for a little chat after service. The chalice lighter in the sanctuary is Arlene. The chalice lighting words are by Reverend Monica Jacobson Tennyson. Welcome. What you bring, who you are, enriches us all. We say welcome to your joy, your hope, your pride. We say welcome to your grief, your fear, your anger, and the parts of you that are not yet ready to be seen and heard. Welcome to them as well. For we are a people of faith, faith in our expansive welcome, faith in our ability to grow, faith in the precious gifts of our truths, faith in the promise of trying, learning, changing, faith in the capacity to know ourselves and each other ever deeply. Welcome to you who are gay, straight, bi, pan, lesbian, queer, questioning, unable to be contained in any word. Welcome to you who are trans, cis, genderqueer, non-binary, intersexed, agender, beyond words. Welcome to you who are human. Welcome to you who love and are loved. Welcome to you who are blessed, which is all of you. May this time together be a blessing.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Carista. I'm the DRE here, and I use she, her pronouns. I am a 5'8", black hair, and I'm wearing a black shirt today. I like the color black. I think we can tell. Today, I will be reading Most People by Michael Lehan. Most people love to smile. Most people love to laugh. Most people love to see other people smile and laugh too. Most people are good people. Most people want to help when they see someone crying. Most people want to help when they see someone who is in trouble. Most people want to make other people, even strangers, feel good. Most people are very good people. Some people do bad things. They yell bad words. They lie and steal. They bully and hurt and destroy. But most people don't do those things. If you could line up all the people who want to be good and all the people who want to be bad, the good people would stretch from here to the tallest mountain. All the people in the bad line could crowd together in a dark and gloomy room. People who do bad things can change. There's a seed of goodness inside them, waiting to sprout. Most people love the sunshine. Most people love the earth. Most people love watching things grow. A person who is frowning and mad, or sad, or mean, is like a sour grape in a bunch of sweet grapes. That person would always rather be happy, smile, and laughing. Everyone looks nicer when they smile and laugh. When you see something bad happening, you may soon see someone trying to help. The helper might be you. Someone is always there being good, because being good is what most people do. Most people like to run and dance and play, or share stories with someone they know, or snuggle with someone they love. Most people like a kind word. Most people like thinking good thoughts about others. And most people smile when they see a baby. Most people glow when they hear or say, "I love you." Most people in the world that know that, most people are very good. All right. It is time for each of you to light your little chalices, if you haven't already. And as you take them with you, remember that they represent the light and love of everyone here going with you. We will all sing On Your Way to You now as you head downstairs.
Wasn't it great to see such a large crowd of children this morning? They truly are our future, aren't they? The prelude this morning is On the Border by Al Stewart, performed by Paul.
The odds of me bringing all this junk in to do 3 songs are almost nil. But I did it this morning because there's going to be an auction next month. And I have put into the auction that I will perform for somebody if they would like it. So I thought it might be fair just to let you know what you're in for. So I'm going to do some songs that are apropos to absolutely nothing else that's going on today, just songs that I like doing. This first one is about a Basque uprising that happened in Spain a long time ago. I know that's fulfilling a lot of wishes. You're got here today, so you got it. Another Sunday without a song about a Basque uprising that happened in Spain a long time ago. And this isn't working. Sorry, I've been having trouble with this. Still not right. I've had it in the shop 3 times and you can't make it do it. Okay, here we go. Fishing boats go out across the evening water, smuggling guns and arms across the Spanish border. The wind whips up the waves so loud, the ghostman sails among the clouds, turns the rifles into silver on the border. On my wall, the colors of the maps are running. From Africa, the winds, they talk of change is coming. The torches flare up in the night. The hand that sets the farms alight to spread the word to those who are waiting on the border. Late last night the rain was tapping on my window. I moved across the darkened room and in the lamp below. I thought I saw out in the street the spirit of the century, telling us that we're all standing on the border. In the Bell Islands where I grew up, nothing stays the same, just the patterns that remain, an empty shell. Still there's a strangeness in the air, you feel so well. Fishing boats go out across the evening water, smuggling guns and arms across the Spanish border. The wind whips up the waves so loud, the ghost brig sails among the clouds, turns the rifles into silver on the border. On the border. On the border. On the border.
Thank you, Paul. And being the people that we are, I bet we can find a connection always between the music and the message, or at least the message in our heart. Good morning. My name is Laura Michael. I am one of the multiple Lauras here today. I am a almost 60-year-old young lady, average height, short hair, and today I'm wearing one of my favorite t-shirts with a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, "Peace in oneself, peace in the world." Our words of invitation today are "That Which Holds All" by Nancy Schaefer. Because she wanted everyone to feel included in her prayer, she started right at the beginning by using several names for the holy: Spirit, Holy One, Mystery, God. But then thinking these weren't enough ways of addressing that which can never fully be addressed, she added particularities: Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Ancient Holy One, Mystery we will never fully know, Gracious God, and then also Spirit of this earth, Spirit of Sarah, Gaia, Thou. And then, tongue loosened, she fell to naming superlatives as well: Most Creative One, Greatest Source, Closest Hope. Even though superlatives for the sacred seemed to her probably redundant. But then she couldn't stop. One who made the stars, she said, although she knew technically a number of those present didn't believe the stars had been made by anyone or anything, but just happened. One who is an entire ocean of compassion, she said, and no one laughed. That which has been present since before the beginning, she said, and the room fell silent. And then, although she hadn't imagined it this way, others began to offer names. One my mother knew, said one. Ancestor. Wind. Rain. Breath. Refuge. That which holds all. Water. Kuan Yin. Womb. Witness. Great kindness. Great eagle. Eternal stillness.
That avatar is talking for me.
And then there wasn't any need
When
to
she talks,
say
it talks.
she thought would be important to say.
Yeah, look.
And everyone sat
And everyone
hushed
sat hushed
until someone said, Amen. Our hymn of the month for August is When the Summer Sun is Shining. It's number 66 in the gray hymnal if you want to follow along, and the words will also be on the screen. You are welcome to stand or remain seated as we sing together.
I'm Millie. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a member of the Pastoral Care Circle. As a community, we share joys and concerns to keep connected. Slips of paper are available at the greeters table for those in the sanctuary to use for joys and concerns. During the week, you may send your joys and concerns by email to pastoralcare@springfielduu.org or by leaving a voicemail on the church phone 417-883-3922. If you're on Zoom, please use the chat box now for sharing your joys and concerns. All of these joys and concerns will be included in the members' email on Tuesday. We honor each joy or concern with a lighted candle, a symbol of the love we as a community offer for each of these joys and concerns. This morning, Arlene will be lighting the candles. And now, as we begin this time of sharing, know that though we are in multiple physical spaces, we are together in beloved community. To begin, we hold in love all of us, those present and those absent. We light a candle for our church community. Okay, from Laura, who was just up here, we have a joy. My newest grandson was born August 2nd, and I was able to spend 6 days helping with him and his 2-year-old brother. You have my admiration. From Kathleen, who is sitting with her mother there. Happy birthday to my wonderful mom, Tamala Ward. She's 55 today. This is from Tiffany or Tiff. River turns 5 this week. All right, we light a candle to celebrate River's turning 5, and now we'll check the chat box. If I can get back to it. From Neil, we had a good weekend attending the baseball game which Springfield won, and also the 417 Salsa Fest. We light a candle to celebrate that joy. From Dacia, Dacia shares a concern for the people of Indiana who are experiencing severe flooding. My hometown, she says, Noblesville, is heavily impacted and making national news. We light a candle of concern for Dacia's concern. We have a concern from Neil. There were major earthquakes in Colombia, South America. Many were impacted, and many helpers continue to search for survivors. We light a candle of concern for those impacted by that earthquake. We honor the complex and heartbreaking struggles of our world. We light a candle for all who are impacted. In closing, for those joys and concerns that remain unspoken in our hearts, we light a candle. May each of these joys and concerns, may we hold each of these joys and concerns in our hearts and minds. May our community of love ease sorrow and boost celebration. Let us now join together in 1 minute of shared silence, followed by Spirit of Life. Thank you, Arlene. Spirit of life,
Revive
Morning, I'm Tiff. I'm in my late 30s, blonde hair, brown dress, happy to be here and read about the third week of August in UU history. Lucy Stone was born in West Brookfield, Massachusetts on August 13, 1818. An early leader of the movement of women's rights and suffrage, she worked as a school teacher for 10 years before entering Oberlin College, the only college then open to women. She was the first Massachusetts woman to earn a BA degree. Stone was raised a Congregationalist, but became a Unitarian and remained so all her life. She became famous as an orator and traveled widely to speak on behalf of abolition of slavery. My gosh, I've had too much coffee. Whew. And women's rights, addressing every state legislature in the country. She worked closely with Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. In 1855, she married Henry Blackwell, but kept her own name after marriage. Together, the couple drew up a marriage protest against the lack of legal rights for women. They read the protest during their marriage ceremony, which was conducted by a Unitarian minister. That's so cool. Stone organized the American Women's Suffrage Association in 1869. She and her husband created a weekly paper, the Women's Journal. She died on October 18, 1893, at the age of 75. Even in death, she accomplished a first, being the first person in Massachusetts to be cremated. In our world, many voices are silenced. Many truths remain unspoken because the speaker fears rejection, judgment, or worse. Our financial offerings today help sustain this congregation as a place where all voices can be heard, where truth can be spoken without fear, where vulnerability is met with compassion. We live in gratitude for this beloved community and with hope for a world where more voices can speak their truth. If electronic giving is your preferred method, or if you are on Zoom, virtual giving options are available via our website, springfielduu.org. The offertory is Back Home Again by John Denver, performed by Paul, and I was trying to say we are lucky to be here for that. I'm excited for it.
Don't count your chickens. This is a kind of a sing-along. If you know it, you want to sing along on the chorus, have at it. There's a storm across the valley, clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder. He's an hour away from riding on your prayers up in the sky. 10 days on the road are nearly gone. There's a fire softly burning, supper's on the stove, but it's the light in your eyes that makes it warm. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Yes, it is. Sometimes this whole time feels like a long lost friend. Oh, and hey, it's good to be back home again. It's all the news to tell him how to spend your time. And what's the latest thing the neighbors say? And your mother called last Friday. The sunshine made her smile. And you felt the baby move just yesterday. And hey, it's good to be back home again. Yes, it is. Sometimes this whole time feels like a long lost friend. Oh, and hey, it's good to be back home again. And all the times that I can lay this tired old body down, feel your fingers that are soft kisses and I live for the love that lights my way. The happiness living with you brings me. Oh, it's the sweetest thing I know of, spending time with you. It's the things that make a house a home. Like a fire softly burning, supper on the stove, and the light in your eyes that makes me warm. It's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old town feels like a long lost friend. Oh, it's good to be back home again. It's good to be back home again.
Good morning. Paul, I want to say that even though you think those songs are apropos to nothing, I might be here today because the first time I attended a UU church, we sang Teach Your Children, and so I think it's important. Good morning, friends. I am Reverend Dr. Michelle Scott Huffman. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the minister here at First UU. I'm a sort of mid-height woman with short, spiky, salt and pepper hair, wearing navy pants, and the plaid of the day is brought to you by the colors teal and navy. We have been on a UU summer road trip for the last couple of weeks, and we continue today. We started in the tranquil woods and the bustling meeting houses of Concord, Massachusetts, asking how we might live lives deserving of our transcendentalist ancestors. And last week, our journey took us south to Philadelphia, where early Universalists like George de Benneville, Benjamin Rush, and John Murray forged a faith that was tested in debate, grounded in congregational covenant, and inseparable from the demands of justice in their day. You may remember Dr. de Benneville, who spent, I think, 42 hours in a coffin when he was presumed to be dead, had this near-death experience and a vision of universal restoration, after which he boldly proclaimed that glorious truths are found in every religion under the sun. Today, our road trip packs up and heads west across the Alleghenies. If Philadelphia taught us about covenant and debate within our walls, Chicago and the frontier of the West invites us to look far beyond them, asking what it truly takes to seed, sustain, and share a radically pluralistic faith in a demanding world. When we look at Unitarian and Universalist history, we might imagine an unbroken line of slightly stuffy Boston intellectuals sipping tea. But historian Charles Little paints a different picture, a slightly more scrappy one. He reminds us in his book, Freedom Moves West, when our liberal forebears arrived in the frontier towns of the Ohio and Mississippi valleys, they were not greeted with open arms. Calvinist, Presbyterian, and Baptist churches were already deeply entrenched a decade before we arrived. When our liberal ancestors showed up with unorthodox ideas about universal salvation, human dignity, and freedom of conscience, they were branded as infidels, heretics, and blasphemers. They faced social ostracism, economic boycotts, and condemnation from preachers in every pulpit around them. I will say that every time I meet a new person even from the days that we did a church plant in Jefferson City, or at Ecclesia, or here at First UU, and I say, "How did you hear about us?" And they say, "My preacher preached about you." That always makes me just a little bit happy. Little wrote, "The venture involved in most cases really heroic independence and sacrificial loyalty. The West is dotted with the graves of failed Unitarian churches. Yet against all odds, some of these ancestors of expansion persisted. In 1826, a young theological student named Moses G. Thomas traveled between 4,000 and 5,000 miles over 5 months on horseback on a mission of inquiry, scouting prospects to plant these liberal churches through Kentucky, Ohio, and Missouri. In 1837, in the river town of Alton, Illinois, the place where I sang that congregational hymn, Teach Your Children, the first time I visited a UU church, and also the first UU church I ever preached in, the young Reverend Charles Andrew Farley stood in his pulpit 2 full years before Ralph Waldo Emerson gave his famous Divinity School address and preached a radical vision of universal pluralism. Part of his sermon said, "Do you now ask where is the true church? I answer, not the Episcopal Church, not the Presbyterian, not the Baptist, not the Methodist, not the Unitarian Church, but the good in all these churches. The child of the Ganges who worships the river, he who adores the sun in its majesty, all are children of God. All are members of the Church Universal, of that vast temple of which the broad skies cover." That radical statement cost him dearly. The very next year, an angry mob in Alton murdered Farley's close friend, the abolitionist editor Elijah Lovejoy. Farley fled under the threat of death. Perhaps more than on the East Coast, out here in the West, holding an expansive, justice-centered faith was dangerous, costly work. Now, I picked Chicago for our third stop on our UU summer road trip because of its significance to religious pluralism in this country. But before we go there, I want to tell you about how an important UU presence was forming about the same time in St. Louis. It's been said that nowhere was the tireless frontier commitment more evident than in St. Louis with the Reverend William Greenleaf Eliot, Jr. Eliot was born in Massachusetts to a prominent family. His great-grandfather had been offered the presidency of Harvard. Eliot graduated Harvard Divinity School in 1831 and headed west, wait for it, as a Unitarian missionary in 1834. His beginnings in St. Louis were humbling. His first sermon drew over 100 people, and his second drew 8. On one Sunday, only his roommate from the boarding house showed up. Soon after, controversy over his liberal theology got him kicked out of his temporary meeting space. Yet Eliot was persistent. By 1837, he had built the Church of the Messiah, which we now know as First Congregational Society of St. Louis, and his civic vision transformed the city. He served as president of the school board, as an advocate for public education. He founded the Academy of Science. He created the Southside Day Nursery, the first daycare facility west of the Mississippi. He was instrumental in the formation of the St. Louis Art Museum, and he championed women's suffrage and temperance. When Ralph Waldo Emerson visited St. Louis, he was so moved by Eliot's tireless civic and pastoral labor that he called him the Saint of the West. For those of us who value higher education as a sacred vehicle for human truth and societal transformation, Eliot's greatest legacy was born in 1853. Anybody know what it was? Washington University. Alongside his parishioner and friend Wayman Crowe, Eliot co-founded Washington University in St. Louis, originally chartered as Eliot Seminary. Under his chancellorship, Washington University broke barriers, the first women graduated, the first African American student was admitted, and the School of Fine Arts was established. As Eliot famously declared, not quantity but quality is the ultimate test of a university's success. For Eliot, higher education and liberal religion shared the exact same mission: to liberate the human mind, tear down prejudice, and build institutions capable of serving the public good. His love of art and commitment to a liberated mind deeply influenced his grandson. Anybody know who that was? The poet T.S. Eliot, who wrote admirably about his childhood in St. Louis, saying, "It is self-evident that St. Louis affected me more deeply than any other environment has done. I feel that there is something in having passed one's childhood beside the big river, which is incommunicable to those people who have not." Meanwhile, in Chicago, the first Unitarian church was founded in 1836 as part of the same missionary movement that landed Eliot in St. Louis. First Unitarian Church of Chicago is one of the oldest churches in the city, being founded only 3 years after Chicago was incorporated as a town. And by 1852, the churches across Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri decided that they could no longer look to Boston for direction, and they gathered to form the Western Unitarian Conference, headquartered in Chicago, declaring their purpose to do something for ourselves and stop depending on the East. Chicago became the beating heart of an audacious, expansive theological vision. It was supported by Meadville Theological School, which opened in Pennsylvania in 1844 to train ministers specifically toughened for the western frontier, admitting its first woman in 1868. They moved to Chicago and later merged with the Universalist Lombard College to become Meadville Lombard Theological School. The movement also was carried forward across the prairies by the fearless Iowa Sisterhood, a network of 21 pioneering Unitarian women ministers who crisscrossed Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Nebraska, the Dakotas, planting and sustaining vibrant Unitarian societies in places where male ministers refused to go. Chicago's greatest champion was the Reverend Jenkins Lloyd Jones, missionary secretary of the Western Conference and minister of Chicago's All Souls Church. Someone here was saying just last week that all the previous UU churches they had attended were called All Souls. So, Jones believed with every fiber of his being that narrow sectarianism was the death of true religion. That conviction culminated in September 1893 in a watershed moment for religious diversity. The eyes of the world turned to Chicago for the world's Columbian Exposition, which celebrated science, finance, jurisprudence, industrial might, and also made space to explore religion. Gathered at the Art Institute on Michigan Avenue was the first meeting of the world's Parliament of Religions. Jenkins Lloyd Jones, the Unitarian minister, and his colleagues organized the Parliament with an extraordinary objective: to bring about a real fraternity of nations and unite the enlightened people of the whole earth in a general cooperation for the attainment of the great ends for which humanity is organized. It became the first formal public meeting of representatives of the world's major religions in human history. It was perhaps the most important religious gathering, I'm quoting this, as one contemporary described it, it was perhaps the most important religious gathering which has ever assembled, saying that it was a new era in the evolution of religious life for the world. Some of the things that came out of the parliament were a public emergence of Catholicism and Judaism into the mainstream of American life, explicitly recognizing African Americans as religious leaders on an international stage, an unprecedented breakthrough where in 1893, 19 women spoke from that platform, representing diverse spiritual backgrounds and claiming their authority as spiritual leaders and teachers. And it introduced to the West the living non-Western spiritual traditions. Buddhist, Jain, Muslim, all had leaders that addressed the halls. Before 5,000 people that were assembled as delegates, a captivating young Hindu monk, Swami Vivekananda, took the podium in his robes and uttered 5 words, "Sisters and Brothers of America." And the hall erupted into a 2-minute standing ovation before he could even begin. He spoke of all spiritual paths like rivers from different sources flowing ultimately into the same boundless ocean. The Presbyterian minister and Parliament President John Henry Barrows declared at that time, "The solemn charge which the Parliament preaches to all true believers is a return to the primitive unity of the world. The results may be far off, but they are certain." The seeds planted by de Binville in Philadelphia, by Charles Farley in Alton, by William Greenleaf Eliot in St. Louis bloomed alongside and into a modern interfaith movement on the shores of Lake Michigan. So much so that in my role as a campus minister, I get to take a group of students every year to Chicago to something called the Interfaith Leadership Summit. And it is the most beautiful and diverse religious gathering any of us have ever been to. But the Parliament in 1893 didn't solve everything, obviously. It left behind what historians call an unfinished agenda for greater cooperation and understanding. The Parliament gave liberal religion legitimacy, and it presented a challenge that we wrestle with still today. What does genuine pluralism really require of us? What gives us the right to sit and stand before these banners every week? And are our words and actions worthy of standing before these banners? As religious scholar Dr. Diana Eck reminds us, diversity is simply a demographic fact. It exists. It's the presence of difference, but pluralism is an achievement. Because religious tolerance says, you stay in your corner and I'll stay in mine and we won't bother each other. And even that is too much for many of the people around us, we know. But pluralism is a UU value and something that we strive for. And pluralism says, I want to sit at the table with you. I want to listen to your truth. And I want to risk being changed by what I hear. Here in this oddly in-between space where the Midwest meets the South, our greatest danger is rarely outside hostility. Rather, it is our own temptation to pull the doors shut from the inside. We, Unitarian Universalists, struggle with that just as much as any of the religious people around us. We saw it during the fellowship movement in the 1950s and 60s. Hundreds of lay-led fellowships were planted across the Midwest, and between 40 and 55% of them failed. As Reverend William Haney noted, too many settled into comfortable insular circles of like-minded people, a closed system that resisted growth, neglected religious education, and feared engaging the wider world. We saw it in the 70s when congregations retreated from public witness into inward-focused caretaking. And as Reverend Frederick Muir warned in his critique of the I Church that I talked about last week, when we treat faith as a purely private consumerist identity and build fortresses instead of sanctuaries. In 1870, William Greenleaf Eliot delivered a sermon entitled Christ and Liberty, sounding a warning to our movement that still echoes. He cautioned against substituting sentimentalism for deep conviction, warning that when we treat belief as trivial, our liberty betrays us into apathy. A vague faith that stands for nothing in particular cannot sustain a living congregation or educate the next generation. I would argue that it can't even sustain an individual life. If we are to honor this Midwest heritage that we have inherited and take up the Parliament's unfinished agenda, we might embrace our responsibility to actively share the good news of our free faith. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say the Greek word that means good news. Anybody know what it is? Gospel, also evangelion, which leads to evangelism. And none of us want that, right? But what is it to have a free liberal faith and to hide it under a bushel, as they would say, and not let people know that it's an experience that they could have, a place that they could come and experience that kind of freedom and liberation? When Universalist pioneer John Murray gave his famous charge over 2 centuries ago, he said, "Go out into the highways and byways. Give the people something of your new vision. Give them not hell, but hope and courage." True pluralism is not passive silence, but an active, joyful invitation. People in our town, on our campuses, in our neighborhoods, and across our polarized world are starving for a faith that honors reason and mystery, that centers justice, that affirms the sacred worth of every human soul, and that welcomes wisdom from every tradition under the sun. When we keep that message to ourselves out of hesitation or apathy, our communities shrink and our vision narrows. But when we step outward and we share our dreams and invest deeply in our children's religious education, welcome to our new Director of Religious Education. I'm so excited about that. When we build covenants across differences, we create a living sanctuary where all people can truly thrive. So as we continue our summer UU road trip from Concord to Philadelphia to Chicago, next week we'll land in Springfield for our Homecoming Sunday, the kickoff of our new year. We will install our new Director of Religious Education. We'll celebrate all the things that we get to do as a church to continue to live into this liberal religious faith that we have inherited. Just as we seek to live into the hope of our transcendentalist ancestors, may we also seek to fulfill the dreams of those liberal missionaries of westward expansion. May we learn and grow and work to advance the unfinished agenda of human unity. May we practice a pluralism that listens, loves, and transforms. And may these deeply spiritual endeavors contribute to a world where everyone is loved, everyone is valued, and everyone is resourced to live their best, most authentic lives. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. The interlude is Transitions, written and performed by Paul Ferris.
Rebecca and I used to perform around town song that I actually wrote when this church was going through some transitions, and that was about 25 years ago, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it's never really wore out, so here it is. Believing in the better life can only be a wish. Pursuing your most fervent dreams can be a road to bliss. Transitions, they're not always bad. Transitions, a change in what you had. Transitions, at first might make you sad. Transitions, just do it and be glad. The world keeps right on changing. Why can't you be different too? You think you owe the ones you love, maybe they owe you. Transitions, they're not always bad. Transitions, a change in what you had. Transitions, at first might make you sad. Transitions, just do it and be glad. Transitions, they're not always bad. Transitions, a change in what you had. Transitions, at first might make you sad. Transitions, just do it and be glad.
Our closing words are from Ian Huntington Bear. You are in the story of the world. You are the world coming to know itself. May you trust that all you will ever say or do belongs in the story of the world. Our final hymn this morning is Bring, O Past Your Honor. It's number 290 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screens. You're welcome to stand or remain seated as we sing, and you can stay in whatever posture you're in as we close the service after the song.
Those of you who grew up in Christian churches will recognize this tune.
Sheaves of hallowed lights and binds my truth.
we prepare to leave this place and extinguish our chalice, I want to remind you of a few things and maybe just tell you because you didn't already know them. There's a sign-up sheet for the AED classes, the defibrillator that we have here that everyone should know how to use. That sign-up sheet is on the table, so please see that and get signed up. I believe Pathways to Membership session 2 is happening downstairs. Which room? The library? In the library. Social Action Committee is also meeting, yes? Yes, probably on this side. So you can find either one of those groups. Do talk to somebody before you leave here. Someone that you don't know would be even better. There are conversation questions over there. If you don't know how to have a conversation with someone you don't know, just walk up to them and say, what's left on your summer to-do list? And you can do it from there. One more thing, Date with Death Club will start back up in September. I believe they're going to be on the second Saturdays of the month, September through December. And we'll start with one called Good Life and Good Death and talk about what those things have in common. All right. We will now extinguish our communal and personal chalices and close with our unison sending words. Our service here is ending. Our service to the world begins anew. Go in peace, friends.